in his explaining for the writing for this video. He was quiet for a moment, so my typing had stopped as he was striving to remember from his own winding ancient live streams. Then he comes back. Well, I never piloted such craft, in which he was musing, and then he continued. There was no such nimble mini fighters in my areas or during my times between the Tracera system of planets and moons and the mega numbers of the systems within and around the Draco systems of planets and moons. Now, there was many Alliance warrior bases well hidden to keep things peaceful as long as possible. But the fighters in those days that I remember, they were big. But the need here in her live stream that I'm talking about tonight for ultra sleek mini fighters in and around the backside of the Lyra systems of planets is very troubling at the least. For this shows a whole new level of dark powers, most likely creating this jump space between the backside of the Orion system to the Lyra system. And they're creating these smaller space squadrons of ships to be able to get through the unstable areas, even though there may be radars there, but in unstable areas of the living universe, they would be able to slip through unnoticed. Now, this, Tralaka thought, this leads to what the Draco humanoid in the ancient times said to his nearby officers. If of species creating small servant races of beings which could become a perfect storm, coming through system after system, created to be small warriors, but yet good for running the ships, but they had they were created to have no self-governing mind of their own, much like a hive mind subspecies breed, for flying the small fighters to conquest for the masters they will never see in person themselves. Now this truly here is troubling, yet definitely, even in those ancient times, in certain sections of the living universe, to have engineered ultra-sleek mini-fighters for the Alliance warriors to protect the core planet civilizations. Now, as even understood by the Alliance warriors commanders, such enormous size of a perfect solar storm of this dark force of warring beings, this is not a war which can be taken apart piece by piece in normal strategies, but this would be wars which are numbered in the mega numbers as it's spread across massive areas of the more unknown areas of the living universe, who plot continually, it seems, to wipe any species not entitled to aid them or to serve them. Anyone else is killed in horrific deaths, but which are near this coming perfect storm. This is very troubling. But Tralaka mused once again, and then he paused as my typing stopped. It seems, he says, I remember this in a few dozen lives, most of them being an Alliance warriors we have not talked about yet. This is one of those many classes I remember of the Alliance warriors learning on how to come to grip with facing such an immense size of an enemy force, the manner in which to sidetrack such symbology and symbols and be able to deal with engaging the fight or battle directly in front of you. This, Tralaka says, this is why the Alliance warriors have in part such an ancient line of great reputation, because the warriors' abilities, because of the training, to stay focused on active battle or the engagement, either peaceful or warring, and all of the shades in between. It is the deepest understanding of prioritizing what they have to deal with which is the most important. Well, for this to come up in Misschrisca ancient live stream is very troubling, Tralaka tells me, for this leads towards the mega warring which is still coming from far beyond the Lyra system planet and moons, as I explained to you earlier, which could be getting fed through this higher technology of jump gates from the back sides of the massive numbers of the Orion system. Then they're jumping to the Lyra system. Now this though, let's get back to talking about the ancient past lives of Misschrisca, of her live streams. For she would go next into the massive Orion systems of planets, having 2 lives as a snake humanoid, standing this time at a full 9 foot. You have enough lives and enough ancient lives, eventually you're going to have that right height you're looking for. Her lower jawline came out to 5 inches in front of her, though at being 9 foot tall, you would not be able to notice this as much, unless, of course, you were within the arm's reach of them. Now, the twin sets of connecting nostrils at the ends off to the sides of her upper jaw. Now, these nostrils missed nothing in her ever-growing needs of learning about herbal oils, herbs, and salts, where they could blindfold her, and yet she could identify separately hundreds of different variables of herbs, oils, salts, and each by the individual aromas. Now, this included, when she was being blindfolded, to identify each one and be able to put, by remembering that aroma, on which bracket in the different herbs, oils, and salts, and where they belonged. Now, this here would be very unnerving to anyone who were in competition with her, for her perfection in this in her career would bring numerous challenges. However, she worked for a healer who was designing these crystalline bath systems, but they were more of a showery bath. This healer had one of those oldest businesses on the young planet that she was on. The healer had, in all his years, not found any likewise healer to replace him until he met her, a young snake humanoid with this open mind to learn thing, and she had yet this uncanny ability in understanding aromas that always amused him. Now, because this was just the right combination for taking over the ownership of this business, as the old healer would pass into the next life. Now, then, as we look into her next 3 lives, she would be that of a lizard humanoid. In the Orion system of planets, she stood at 7 foot 7 inches. Exactly. Now, this is more of a blend of lizard being form and humanoid form in loose bindings. Though called lizard humanoid, her lizard-like green eyes and green scaly skin, very bold in their structures. When she was a child, her childhood was so much of that of fights and also battles. But as she matured, the role of a merchant cargo team member would come in her direction, and this would become her new home. These ships, that is, the cargo ships, were usually stolen from aging spaceship yards out in outer loose orbits near non-populated planets and moons, which were, they would buy these from getting out of service military crafts and other departments. They would buy these old ships and they would recycle them and sell the stuff to make new ships. However, this here did very much enable the illegal merchant space-going cargo ships to take a whole lot of blows while these ships were hauling illegal stuff without these ships getting damaged much, because they were built military tough. Yet in all the spaceships she would see in the service of her merchant bosses, there was not so much as a single one which had not been stolen. Now, as long as this is, she could, this really troubled her. She understood that in a way this could be very wrong. However, it serves as a means she needed to be able to have food to eat from a steady employment. Now, this was a very quickly changing lifestyle, lasting many hundreds of solar years, though it would be in her third life as a lizard humanoid. She would save her credits for when she would retire, buying, this is how the file goes. She bought a far outdated space freighter. In a few solar months, she had found a planet-sized pier, which would be just perfect, that was outside a mid-sized city at the waters. This was perfect, she thought, having her crew bring that old freighter down from its tied-up orbit down to planet size, and then lock it to the piers of the long, single, though wide, pier. It floated calmly on the waters beneath. It would be in her first seen ancient past lives here. Important. This file here is just so abundant in descriptions, where she would have this multi-classy restaurants, which we built inside of that old aging freighter ship that was parked on the docks, by the docks, as well as merchant shops, which would be claimed, oh yeah, we're legal. Of course we're legal. Why wouldn't we be legal? Gee, have we said that one before? Yeah, we're legal. Now, the advertising was this: everyone come, of all ages and groups, to the freighter pier for a freighter-sized meal, and rows of classy shops and entertainment. Now, this here brought a very gritty, grinding, curious levels of law officers to go and think that they would find illegal activity of the merchants in their draggy outfits and stealing the credits with by selling these really poorly made things. However, they tried and tried for nearly 2 full solar years, showing up in different outfits and business claims, trying to catch them off guard to destroy that freighter business and arrest as many as they could. Yet, according to the ancient live stream of Misschrisca, not one violation did they ever charge her for her or her crews, except for having large amounts of high-quality, mouth-watering foods everybody loved to brag about to their family and their friends. Curious enough, yes? But there is more on this file. Strangely, no official document of original ownership of that space-going old freighter was ever recovered. And it gets stranger yet, for not one single piece of evidence it had even been largely used as a military grade and military space freighter in the crystal halls of data on the different worlds. There was no file of it. It showed nothing. Or perhaps this was truly the greatest con job ever in that area of the Orion system. Or was she just that good to cover her tracks that the legal departments could never stick even a thread against her? Now, that any level of detective or legal departments in that area of the Orion system planetary thing that she was on, they were completely clueless on that planet, on that ship's history that was on that planet. Now, in the last 10 lives shown here on Misschrisca, the ancient lives of her past that would put her in the Draco system of planets and moons. here.